The time is now. The players are ready. We have everyone in place for the gold medal game for the MRDA 2018 Championships.
Well, if you're not excited, I certainly am. The players are out there, they've warmed up, and they're ready to go. I'm going to let you know who's going to be skating for Bridgetown, starting with 08 Miller, 101 Freakstyle, 103 Loose Wheel, number 11 Sausage, 12 Tommy Gun, 142 Jamaican Psycho, 17 Austin, 22 Optimus Quad, 2468 D-Bots, 31 Ramrod, number 5 El Dorado, 512 Cosmo Damage, 56 M Jensen, 69 Don Juan the Devastator, 7 Ostentatious, and 82 Topher Griffin.
And for the St. Louis Gatekeepers in the white and green, we have 0260 Spin Diesel, number 1 The Saint, 22 Nate Bauer, 314 is Double XL, 32 Shane Bauer, 386 Metcalf, 506 is Matthew Uttendorf, 5150 Hulk, 6 Nixalot, 618 Blood Zeppelin, 66 Screech Around, 7 is Magnum, 73 Carl Stark, 82 Percy Control, 99 Last Rites.
And already lined up at the Five Strides line is going to be Topher Griffin taking on Magnum in this first matchup as jammers.
Yeah, these teams have seen one another a couple of times before. We are having a replay of the final last year, which was in Cwmbran in Wales.
Topher Griffin trying to take that inside line, getting banged around. Oh, does finally get pushed out of bounds in the corner of turn number 1. Number 22 for St. Louis Gatekeepers. Nate Bauer is picking up a forearm penalty.
First penalty of the game. Magnum is out. Isn't lead, as we said. Topher with 1 to beat. That's Bled Zeppelin. And little tap of the hips there. The first points are on the board for Portland.
Yeah, but Bled Zeppelin is a large gentleman who can tap very heavy with his hips. And that's exactly what he did. He sent Topher flying. So, also out on the track, I want to thank our officials, Kieran Duncan, MC Ninja, Cat Killsum, Ninja Sassum, Mary Chaos, Just Dylan, Lord Lexalt, and Wifo.
I was mistaken that Portland didn't pick up points there, so we still have 0-0. Looking to change that is Shane Bauer and Sausage. Sausage with the dip around Bled Zeppelin's hips. That is lead for Sausage.
Spin Diesel and... that was Bowers in the penalty box, and it's making a light pack for this Gatekeepers team.
Sarge with 5 points in the air. We see a 3-wall of Gatekeepers trying to hinder that progress around Percy Control, just trying to batter away, but Sarge with those twinkle toes of him getting another 5 points.
He has an uncanny way of staying in bounds.
It's called magic.
Bowers right now really struggling against this Menace wall. Loose Wheel picking up a direction of play penalty, and that's going to send him to the Rydell penalty box. Sausage back around on a scoring pass. He's got 2 blockers to contend with. Oh, they take him out of bounds, but they go out with him, so he comes right back in and continues to roll.
Meanwhile, Shane at the front with D-Bots. D-Bots picking up a penalty there, but now Shane Bauer's out. I am going to take a guess that Sausage is probably going to want to call it shortly.
Yeah, he spent as much time as he could. He's going to take a breath over there. I think he took a pretty big hit. Oh, yeah, he's looking okay. Miller's over there giving him a high five. Also, some of our non-skating officials are going to be Morticia, Andy Oakley, Galvatron, Kami, Kill C. Grammar, Tuck and Roll, Bunny Wrench, Chloroform Cupcakes, Demolisher, and Extra Crispy.
Yeah, we want to give a massive thank you to our skating officials and non-skating officials. We can't do this without you, and we are so happy to see your wonderful faces on track. Also, wonderful face on track right now. That is Screech Around, and that is Austin.
And Austin right now struggling with that strong 4-wall. Tommy and Cosmo are trying to take out Saint and trying to hold him back.
And Saint is not an easy player to try and take out. Meanwhile, we see Screech with the lead and calling that off.
Tommy Gun was going after him, and yeah, it got him at the top of the apex, but Screech Around had passed all 4 of those blockers, so all 4 points do go up on the board. Those are the first points of the game for St. Louis.
Yep, we currently have Portland on 17, St. Louis on 4. That's math I can do. 13 points between these two teams.
Look at the Boots over here doing some quick math. I like it.
Doing quick math is something that I'm not very good at, but doing quick skating is what these two jammers are good at.
Yep, Topher and Magnum out there with the stars on their helmets.
Yep, both of these gentlemen have played for Team USA, and, you know, the skills definitely show here.
Forearm penalty. That is going to be our first power jam of the game. Topher Griffin is going to have to go have a seat in the right L penalty box. They already have 2 blockers over there having a seat, so that's 3 players down for Portland.
Yeah, and Magnum is definitely a jammer that utilizes power jams quite nicely. It's exactly what St. Louis will need to be able to tighten up that score. Very tough one at the front to beat.
Miller's got a body on him. Oh, and finally getting around, trying to call it off. Yeah, he was gesturing. The ref didn't call it, but 5 points being put on the board, and that's going to leave Topher Griffin standing in the penalty box.
Yep, he is locked in the box. This will give Shane Bauer a little power start opportunity, but with Topher Griffin standing, it's going to be a very quick end to a power start.
Tommy Gunn still out there. Also being joined with him is Cosmo Damage and Jensen.
Yep, and we have Percy Control, Sir Nix-a-Lot, Hulk, and I believe that's Kyle Stark as the pivot.
He's up there trying to play a little bit of offense, trying to strip Tommy Gunn on, which he successfully did for the moment.
Yep, he's been doing some really lovely offense this weekend, but it is Topher Griffin with the lead for Portland.
And Cosmo picking up a forearm penalty, headed back to the penalty box.
Inside line opening up there for Shane Bauer. Meanwhile, Topher Griffin is in the infield now, having been knocked to the infield. But did we see points go on? Yep, 3 points to Portland. So currently 11 points between these two teams.
That looks about right. Down there with the star once again on their helmets will be Screech Around and Sausage also out there for Portland.
And it looks like we have all of those players lining up on our pivot line. That is our delightful pivot line sponsored by Vault 31.
Screech Around trying to take that inside line, and they are doing a great job trying to lock it down. He uses his toe stops, runs up that line, and Screech Around is your lead jammer.
And that is 2 for 2 for St. Louis right now.
Sausage is out, and Screech Around is going to go ahead and call it off. It was a forearm penalty, and that will be assessed to number 22, Nate Bowers, who's going to start the next jam in the penalty box.
So we have a blocker apiece in the box with Cosmo Damage standing. So this will be a 3-on-3 pack for the next jam. We have Austin, and I believe that's Metcalf up wearing the star for St. Louis.
They're going to migrate back to that jam line. Metcalf engages the wall of purple, gets escorted out of bounds on the inside line, bounces right back up, tries the outside, and does get out and is your lead jammer.
So that is at least 2 lead jammers in a row right now for St. Louis. They are trailing by 7 points, but Metcalf getting in there, calling it off. We will see how many points go on the board. 2.
Yep, that was really good maneuvering by St. Louis. They're excellent, probably the best in the business at picking off a goat, which is a opposing blocker, dragging them back and holding on to them, making it easy to score at least 1 point. Metcalf, of course, went up and banged around and did pick up that additional point before calling off that jam.
And that was Metcalf's first jam for the game, but not first for the weekend. He's been doing fantastic work. Also fantastic work from Topher Griffin and Magnum.
Topher Griffin out there, a low block being called on Topher. That's the second trip to the penalty box.
And this will give Magnum the opportunity for a power jam. 2 to front at the beat. 2 to beat at the front, loose wheel, and the camera went fuzzy just as I was going to say the other name. Is it Miller?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Miller picking up the multiplayer block. And a penalty being called on loose wheel. Out of play is what that call is going to be. He's going to have to come back on the track. There's no more room at the end.
Magnum with one to beat. That is Dylan Botts, but Dylan doing some wonderful matrix moves just to hinder his progress ever so slightly.
That's what he does. He is definitely bendy. That's a good phrase for Botts.
Yeah, Botts is bendy and so incredibly powerful as well.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Rydell. They are one of our fantastic sponsors for the 2018 MRDA Championships. I use them at home, and I suggest everybody also does. That's Rydell Skates.
And we are currently looking at a tie score right now. St. Louis with 20, Portland with 20. Shane Bauer up to jam for St. Louis. Meanwhile, Sarge is in the thick of it.
Yeah, and Cosmo and Loose Wheel, two big old fellas out there trying to bang open an offensive hole. Shane Bowers, though, glides in, almost caught him by surprise. It doesn't look like either time he's attacked that line that they were set or ready for him.
No, and we look at the size of these players. They are titans. They are strong, and anybody who is able to get through that is a hero in my books.
Well, Loose Wheel just took another trip to the penalty box. That is 3 penalties right now on Loose Wheel. He's playing hard out there, and he's a key piece to this defense.
I also believe, I'm sure the internet will correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Loose Wheel and Topher Griffin are co-captains for Bridgetown.
St. Louis right now taking a lead, 4 points up. There's going to be a timeout. Oh, that's going to be on Bridgetown calling a timeout. That's not a bad idea.
And while we have a timeout, we want to say a big thank you to Apex Wellness Center. Jump over to Apex Wellness Center, offering chiropractic, massage, and acupuncture to help get you back on the track. Located in Portland, Oregon, integrated healthcare at its peak.
I say this probably every time that there's a sudden shift in things, but this is a good time out for them.
Yes.
Portland had a nice little lead, and as you know, St. Louis comes in here. They play nonstop, 1 hour of heavy-duty derby. That's the reason they're 11-1 this season and haven't lost a game, and I can't remember the last time they lost a game. But if Bridgetown wants to win this game, they need to play a solid hour just as hard as St. Louis. They have picked up some pretty quick penalties and been short on the track, which has allowed St. Louis to get back in there. So they need to calm down and play a little bit more clean in order to stay on the track and make sure you're not giving up those free points.
We're also looking at some stats right now, and Bridgetown seem to have a strict 3 jammer rotation, but that actually they've got more than 3 jammers, that's for sure. They've got some amazing blockers who are also capable of jamming. Right now showing us those jamming skills. Oh, and as I say that, Austin picking up a penalty there.
Yeah, he picked up the penalty, and then he was displeased with it and shook his fist a little bit and got an additional penalty. He's going to be sitting there for a full minute, it looks like.
And this is going to give St. Louis the perfect opportunity to just rack up some points. Screech around, and Dylan Botts just fighting at the front there. Well,
Spin Diesel's got Miller in the back. It's holding him onto him as if he's the GOAT. They are right now trying to separate this pack. They've got Loose Wheel stuck behind a 3-ball, and Spin Diesel's trying to work over Miller. Oh, a direction of play. That is that's going to be on Bled Zeppelin, who's going to now have a seat in the Rydell penalty box.
And because Screech took that cover off, this is a full 2-minute jam, and we are just under a minute through. Just over a minute through, sorry.
They gave him the 5 points. I think they knocked him out of bounds, but one way or another, Screech around is staying in there, picking up those points.
And that was a fantastic penalty kill there from Portland. Only 5 points on the board for Screech around. Even now Austin is back on track.
Austin tried to get around on the outside line, and they knocked him out. Everybody's skating backwards. It's kind of like reverse skate down at the skating ring right now. Everybody's going the wrong way.
And it looks like a cut track got assessed there to one of the blockers for St. Louis.
Austin gets out the other side, and a cut track is being called. Yeah, there was 2 blockers back there, and one of them sat on him, but the other one ran back. And that's going to be three penalties right there in a row for Austin and 1 jam. That's not good.
No, that is not good. And right now, St. Louis with 10 points on the board in that last jam. 14 points between these two teams. We know this is going to be a closely fought game.
But it looks like they released him. Yes, they're going to have an official timeout. They want to talk a little bit about what's going on down there. Make sure that all the penalties are assessed correctly. And, I figure St. Louis is going to come charging out there to want an explanation of that.
Yep, and we can see Magnum in the middle right now having a little chat with the referees. That was the highest scoring jam for St. Louis so far.
All right, well, Topher now and Magnum both out there on the 5 strides jammer line. This jam is on.
Magnum trying to tiptoe his way through, but Topher doing the same on the inside line, and that is lead for Portland.
Magnum took the cap off. He's got it in his hand. Topher comes in and wallops that white wall. Whoa! Tries to get out, and that is a huge hit on the other side. I believe that was Nate Bauer's dropping Topher.
Yeah, it was the first lead for Bridgetown since Jam 4. And, 3 points on the board, 10 points between these two teams now, and one heck of a hit to end that jam.
Well, it is the championship, and we're playing for all the marbles. So we're going to put Sausage out there once again with the star for Portland.
And he is joined by Metcalf for St. Louis. If you are just joining us and you've never seen these two teams before, St. Louis are in the white and green, and Portland are in the purple with a slight white silver kind of accent.
Miller right now bridging these two teams together, and Sausage is out. Only put one hand down. He's your lead jammer. Wow, that was Matrix right there if I've ever seen it.
And it looks like a cut track is being assessed to Metcalf. So this will now be a power jam for Portland.
And they've got a goat in the back. Actually, they're going to go ahead and run up and play a little bit of offense, but Sausage didn't really need it. He took all 4 of those St. Louis blockers and maneuvered around them, picking up a 5-point grand slam.
Absolutely fantastic. So this score is edging closer and closer. Are we about to see a lead change? This is the jammer to do that lead change for sure.
Yep, he, I believe, picked up his points, called it off. That is going to leave Metcalf standing in the penalty box.
That was the first St. Louis jammer penalty, I believe.
All right, 3 more points we'll put on the board. That's 8 grand total. We've got a score of 33-31. And look at this. Is that freak style?
I think it is freak
it is.
style. We've had little change up in that jammer rotation. First jam for freak style.
I had a ref standing in my way, and I couldn't see him properly. I see him now. Freak style comes out of there. That man is flexible, just like a young man like him should be. Jumping all over the place, trying to fight his way through, and an out-of-play call. That's going to be on Shane Bowers.
Yep, and if you aren't aware, there seems to be a lot of Portland fans in the house going absolutely freaking crazy for Freakstyle and that lead jam.
Freestyle getting knocked out of bounds, top of the apex. Spin Diesel dragging him back to the pivot line. Oh, and a cut track. That's going to be called on Metcalf. We're continuing our power jam.
Yeah, that is not what St. Louis want right now. We are probably going to see some points put up the board.
Freakstyle looking freaky out there. Absolutely hurdled right at the top of that apex, picking up 5 points.
Yep, and that is a lead change. St. Louis 33, Portland 36. 3 points standing between these two teams with just under 14 minutes in this first half.
So far, this is a very exciting game. Both teams seem very focused on what they're doing. Everything seems pretty evenly matched, and I'm hoping this is going to go like this the whole time. These two teams did play on May 5th back at the Big O, and St. Louis did beat them, and they were in control pretty much the whole time that game, and this is definitely different than that.
Yeah, we we definitely see Portland have eaten their Weetabix before this game. We see Austin with lead for Portland and will be looking to extend that lead. But we also see Shane Bauer right now wearing the pivot cover, so we might see a little star pass maybe.
Whoa! Oh, Bots, I believe he just got a low block. The jammer tried to come in. Bots was holding the inside line, tripped over his feet, but, you know, Austin gets knocked around, ends up on the deck. Maybe talking a little smack on his way back, calls that jam off.
Yep, as you were saying, these two teams faced off at the Big O. These two teams have also had some good games this weekend. Oh. 5
points being picked up on that last pass. And a timeout is going to be called by St. Louis. They don't like that big shift that just happened, so they're going to reel it in a little bit, do what I was just talking about, and say, all right, guys, we got to do this for an hour. Let's go out and take them.
Yep. As I was saying, St. Louis this weekend beat the Misfits on Friday and beat Toulouse on Saturday to get to this game. Meanwhile, Bridgetown beat Texas on Friday and beat Vancouver Saturday to get to this game. So, you know, both teams have had at least 2 games, 2 wins, and we are going to see who comes out on top tonight. All of the T's.
Well, it looks like they're going to put Topher out there with a star on his helmet to get this next jam started. 1 blocker from each team camping out in that right L penalty box. It'll be a 3-on-3 blocker war.
Yep, Topher with the star, looking to eke out Bridgetown's lead jammer. 4 in a row so far. Are we about to see 5?
Well, it looks like Hulk just reported to the penalty box. Odd that it took so long for him to get over there, but neither here nor there. He is there. Shane Bauer's got the star on his helmet going up against Topher. 2 blockers out there for St. Louis, 3 for Bridgetown.
And we see St. Louis holding Topher to the outside.
Well, Tommy Gunn picking up a forearm penalty. That is going to send him to the penalty box. That will be his 3rd. Topher had a great angle on it. Yeah, he put a foot out of bounds. He can't believe the call, but yep, he thought he was clearly in bounds, but his foot did go out of bounds, and that is a good call.
So with Topher having got lead and then losing that, this will now be a full 2-minute jam. And Shane Bauer with 2 players on track to beat.
Well, Tommy Gunn is right now stuck in the back. They're trying to make him the GOAT. They do knock him off. Spin Diesel takes him out of bounds. He does not want to make the pack in the back.
And that 3-wall at the front. That looks like Cosmo and Dylan Botts and M. Jensen. Tommy Gunn has now joined.
And a high block being assessed to Cosmo damage. He got hit from the side, which threw him the opposite direction, and then hit the jammer in the face. And so there was an assessment to Cosmo on that. He's now sitting in the penalty box. He had some words for the ref, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was an additional penalty out there.
Unfortunately, sometimes in the hustle and tussle, things happen, and you kind of get thrown sideways. We have 2 points between these two teams. 9 points scored for St. Louis in the last jam. 3 for Portland is bringing this. This is just going to be one of those games where we're going to see little bits here and there, little points, and I feel like we're going to maybe see a couple of lead changes.
I think so.
Both of these teams absolutely not desperate. Desperate sounds bad, but they are so primed and ready to play this game and to take gold.
They're both coming in with the intention to win. They are not, in their minds, they are not leaving without that gold medal. And it's just going to come down to who at the end of this game is going to come out as the victor. Sassarge is going to be out there, as will Magnum, as your jammers in this next jam. Jam is on. Magnum found an open hole, almost ran up the outside line. Luckily, Loose Wheel got a piece of him and held him in.
Yeah, loose wheel all over him right now. Magnum ducking and diving, and Magnum is your lead jammer for jam number 16.
Sassard's getting some offensive help, gets an opening, but they are not set and ready, and Magnum running through it like it ain't no big deal because nobody was there to stop him.
Nope, and we see those 2 points changing. So St. Louis is 46, Portland is 44. We are 11 minutes left of this first half, and both teams are sitting in the 40s.
Right. Well, and there was another lead change right there. Once again, like you just said, it's just going to be, I think, a festival of this until, unless somebody breaks loose. We're going to see Freak Style and Screech Around as your jammers.
Yeah, we're about to see that. We have such low scoring, and that is a testament to the blocking ability of these two teams. We can see Screech Around right now being just suckered to that wall. A little bit of offense from a helpful friend, and Screech Around is through and is lead.
Freestyle still trying to bounce around. He's getting lots of offensive help. Double XL last line of defense, and he was not in a position to stop Freestyle.
Screech calling that off. One single point on the board.
And yeah, it's now 47-44. I'd like to give a big shout out to Hit This. Before you hit the track, Hit This. Fantastic derby gear and derby wear that you can pick up right here in the Pacific Northwest. That's Hit This derby gear.
Who do we have up on our 5-stride jam line right now?
It's going to be Austin out there for Bridgetown and Metcalf out there for St. Louis. Metcalf trying to take that outside line.
Switching to the inside now.
Austin just trying to force his way up through corner number 1. Forearm call going to be on Bled Zeppelin. With that, it clears an open lane. Austin is now out as your lead jammer.
Metcalf, meanwhile, being drawn back to our pivot line.
Well, a nice little strip off of Optimus Quad, but Miller was there to save the day. Austin got one player left to beat, and he ekes by on the inside line. He might have got hit in the face. He's talking to the ref about something, but 5 points put on the board. He needs to run instead of chat.
And we have had a star pass to Spin Diesel. So that will probably force the call from Austin and Portland. Another
3
points on the board.
And Portland takes back the lead. Whew.
We have 8.5 minutes left in this first half.
I know.
This is just the first half.
Yeah, I've got broken out in a sweat, and I haven't really moved from my seat here.
I'm on the edge of my seat, so if you hear a loud thwack, that is me falling off my chair.
All right. Shane Bowers, you got the star out there for St. Louis. Sassarge out there for Portland. Sassarge tries to lead him into that purple Portland wall. Jensen knocking out Bowers, dragging him back to the pivot line.
And Sarge was out, but that looks like, was that a high block?
That was a high block.
Sarge will be sitting in the penalty box. Shane Bauer will be having that jammer point at him and say you will lead.
Well, they're trying to pick off Ramrod. They end up letting him go. Shane Bowers. There's a back block being called. All right, that's going to put Bled Zeppelin back in the penalty box. 3 points being picked up on that. St. Louis still is at 50 now, still 2 points behind.
I'm still kind of baffled by the score right now because there's 7 minutes left and the teams have only just managed to reach over 100 points combined.
Yes, but if you look at these two teams, they're both incredibly strong defensively, and really to be competitive in this league, or I should say in the MRDA, you've got to be strong defensively.
Yeah, you don't just work your jammers, you work your blockers, and you work them into the ground sometimes, that jammer being on the ground, but Magnum is up and he is lead.
And a high block being called on Bots. Magnum comes in, spins off both those blockers, could not get anywhere. Wow. Sausage makes a huge pile up in turn number 3, continues to run.
Yep, we have 5 in the sky for St. Louis. We have just had another lead change.
Well, again, Portland didn't have their players together. That's just one-on-one defense with Magnum and a full head of steam. He picks up 3 points on that pass.
So this is 6 points between these two teams. This feels like the biggest points differential between these two teams in quite some time. And we see Topher Griffin and Screech around. They are up on our 5-stride jam line.
Screech around, weaves out, goes back in. He's stuck behind that purple wall. He's trying to scoot out. He cannot get barely any movement.
These teams know one another very, very well. They've played multiple times, sometimes on the same team if it was Team USA.
Oh, man. There was a gigantic kick by Kyle Stark taking out Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn could not stay on his feet. Screech around, still stuck in the pack.
Yep, Screech around stuck in the pack, has taken the cover off. We see that 4-wall trying to stop Topher Griffin from getting through. Star Stash for Screech around.
Topher Griffin gets out. We're going to have to peek over there. I believe he only got 3. He got 3.
And seems to be giving like a little air high five to the crowd there. Or maybe it was a, oh, stop. Go on.
His adoring fans. Well, we've got a score of 58-55. Freestyle once again back down on the line, and that is going to be Last Right's first time tonight on the line for St. Louis.
Yep. As we've said before, though, not first time jamming this evening, but that's going to be his first penalty, I think. I think that might be the 3rd jammer penalty, 4th jammer penalty
back
for
block.
St. Louis.
And there's a back block being called on Freestyle. I apologize, I just spoke right over the top of you, but happened right in front of me, and I got all excited about it.
That is no problem. Last Right's released from the penalty box, having served a very short amount of time, so Freestyle will be out as well soon, and we will have a full 2-minute jam.
Last Right's almost got by. Bots pushing him out, tried to drag him back. It looks like they're going to call an out of play, I believe. Last Right's finally out of the pack, not your lead jammer.
We have no lead jammer right now, so we are just going to see these two Titans just trading off some points.
4 points being put on the board, and that's going to benefit Last Right's and St. Louis.
And is Freakstyle made out of rubber bands and
Yes,
glue? Because that was just some magic getting through on that inside line there.
When he first showed up in Bridgetown, we used to call him Gumby because that boy can bend all over the place.
Has he done any limbo competitions? I feel like that would be maybe we need one at the after party.
Led Zeppelin, last line of defense, gets a hold of Freakstyle and escorts him outside on your inside line.
This is the 2nd jam with no lead jammer. And we see Last Rights being held at the back there by Optimus Quad, Cosmo Damage, Dylan Bots, and Loose Wheel.
Loose Wheel takes him out. Dylan Bot says, nope, we're going to go this way. He's got a player with him, Saint, and so he's going to go as far back as the pack will follow him.
Yep, everyone's going around the outside, back to turn 1.
I know, Freakstyle's like, really, guys? Come on.
I just want to be on track and scoring points.
Right, 2 more points being picked up by St. Louis. That brings their grand total to 12 in that jam. Portland picking up 7. And so we've got a score of 70-62 with just over 2 minutes left in this half.
I think that is the highest jam of the game so far.
Woo!
And 12 points can be relatively conservative for a high-scoring jam. We see Shane Bauer and Sarge just super glued to some walls right now.
Yeah, that was definitely a scrum play. They're going to take him back into corner number 4.
The physical strength of both of these teams is just incredible.
Jensen picking up a forearm call.
And Shane Bauer picking up lead.
Sausage getting out of the pack. Beautiful offense being played by St. Louis. They have lifted everybody and moved them all apart. There was no way for Bridgetown to even consider getting back together to form a wall in that case.
No, that was swoon-worthy blocking from those St. Louis Gatekeepers.
Wow. That was, I'm at a loss for words, so I'm going to have to read something here. I'd like to give a big shout out to Vault 31. They are a destination for roller derby watchers and parties and esports and music and all kinds of things. Go visit them on vault31bar.com.
And we see Topher Griffin doing a little bit of blocking against his fellow jammer, that's Magnum. But we see Topher having given his blockers the opportunity to do their magic and picking up lead jammer.
Yep, and they do have a star pass. It's going to go to Spin Diesel, who's about a half a track away. Oh, Topher takes flight, puts his feet down, calls this jam off.
So Topher picked up a few air miles there. I would love to say that that's an original line from me, but I'm pretty sure I heard it on stream at another time.
They have finally put their fingers in the air. They're going to call an official review. That's going to be St. Louis calling that review. We've got 22 seconds left in this jam, and they're going to go out there and discuss a few things with the refs.
Yeah, so we see Mr. Pink and we see Beyond Thunder Dame, two of our wonderful, capable bench staff for these two teams. Once we have confirmation of what that is about, we will try and throw down to our referee, who will let us know what the heck is going on. I mean, a lot of roller derby is going on.
Yes, it is. Speaking of which,
for a cutting penalty on the Bridgetown jammer at the beginning of the jam.
all right, I like it. That's a request for a cut call. There was a little melee right down here in front of us at the pivot line going into turn number 1. Topher Griffin was definitely stepping on his toe stops right on that line. I have a feeling that's exactly what it's all about.
Yep. You know, sometimes these jammers use their toe stops, and it can just be just that smidgen out, which can cause a little confusion and cause a cut track. So we will see.
There was no out-of-bounds contact made by the Bridgetown jammer. No cutting call will be assessed. The Gatekeepers do not retain the review.
All right. You know, sometimes if you have that official review going into what is almost halftime, why not use it and, you know, try and get something out of it.
And we can see some wonderful people in the crowd right now enjoying this superb game. We have just 22 seconds left of this first half, and the jam clock will let us know. At the moment, there is 8 points between these two teams. I'm actually quite pleased because this math is easy. And easy comes Austin on the outside line. That is lead jammer for Portland.
Wow, that was a huge lead jam catch right there. Screech Around finally getting out of the pack. Oh, and he gets a cut track. Screech Around headed to the penalty box, and Austin is in a power jam.
Okay, St. Louis currently on 4 jammer penalties. Bridgetown have had 8.
Well, they're doing a nice job bridging that out. Wow, look at the strength and struggle that is going into that.
Austin looking and going, let's call this.
5 points being picked up. So
3 points.
At halftime, pardon me, at halftime, we've got a score of St. Louis 74, Portland 71.
Yep, there is 3 points between these two teams, and there is a whole half an hour left.
Wow.
If you were anything like me, I think everyone needs to go and hydrate, because, you know, I'm feeling a bit breathless, a bit struggling.
Do you have the vapors?
I have the vapors. That we invite you to come back in about 11 minutes. You've got time to, you know, nip to the bathroom, grab a drink, but you are not going to want to miss this second half. Our halftime is nearly over.
It is nearly over.
I hope you are all well fed, well rested, good hydration, everything that you need to be watching this phenomenal game of roller derby.
Oh yeah. Well, so far, as you can see from the score, we've got a score of 74-71. It has been back and forth. There's been 7 lead changes, and both of these teams are really playing at the high capacity that we expect from them, and it is anybody's game right now. Looking at some of the penalties out there, St. Louis right now, they've got 3 players sitting on 4 penalties and 1 on 3. Spin Diesel sitting on 3, Nate Bowers, Double XL, and Bled Zeppelin all on 4. When it comes to Bridgetown, they, on the other hand, they've got Loose Wheel, Tommy Gunn, and Topher Griffin all sitting on 3, with D-Bots and Cosmo Damage both sitting on 4. Nobody in desperate problems or high penalties right now, but it might change.
No, you never know what happens with this kind of game, and with all of that built-up energy that has been just building and building over this weekend, over this year, we could see a few more penalties. I'm kind of hoping we don't.
Right. So right now, St. Louis, Nate Bowers has 22 points. And, Nate Bowers has 22 points. Shane Bowers has 20 points. And then looking over on the other side, Topher Griffin is on 13, Sassarge is on 25, and Austin sitting on 18.
Yeah, we have a nice 4-jammer rotation going on for both of these teams right now, but you never know, they might throw another one in to send us a little bit of confusion. But what is not confusing is why these 2 teams are playing for gold.
Yes, it is. Well, to make things even more interesting, Portland with a 3-point deficit to get this half started. Topher Griffin is going to start in a power jam, and Screech Around is standing in the penalty box.
And we see some offense from Tommy Gunn right there, keeping that inside line open. That opened up the line for Topher, and Topher is now your lead jammer.
Let me tell you something about Topher Griffin. He loves when you play offense for him, and if you play it, he will capitalize on that opportunity every single time.
Yep, he was saying the reason I'm any good at jamming is because my blockers help.
Yep. Yeah, for many years he was a blocker, and one day him and Shreddy got him to start jamming, and it has been nothing but blossom ever since he put that star on.
Absolutely, and we can see the star is off the helmet for Screech Around right now. Looks like he's trying to pass it off. Meanwhile, with those 4 points for Portland on the board, it seems like we've had another lead change.
Well, Bots is going to pick up a blocking with the head penalty. That's going to put Bots back at the penalty box. Screech Around having no luck. Jensen taking him way back to turn number 2.
And we see Topher looking back at the moment, trying to assess where Screech Around is. He's being locked into that 3 wall at the front. We see Double XL looking to help with offense.
Yep, well, Topher saw Double XL swing back, and he decided he was going to go back and play defense, and which worked, well, at least for the moment. Oh.
Easy come, easy go.
Double XL is actually down right now in corner number 3. He has scooted all the way over to the bench, and he's holding his knee. I do not like seeing that. He is one of my favorite blockers in the MRDA.
Absolutely, and we are going to have some people go over and just check on him. And
well, while folks are over there checking on him, and before, I was going to say, I think they're going to call that official timeout, just to make sure that everybody is getting taken care of. Once again, I hope that gentleman is doing okay, but he's really wincing over there. I would like to give a shout out to some folks that are watching at home. Spank and Nino, I hear you down there in Texas losing your mind over this game. As you know, this is the 8th lead change, and Portland just took the lead back, sitting 80-74.
Yep, 6 points between these 2 teams. Everyone is getting very excited in the crowd. I hope everyone is excited at home, and if you're not, what is wrong with you?
Metcalf takes off. He gets hit and is dumped over in the corner. Excuse me, Magnum.
Magnum.
It was one of those M names, and the wrong one came out.
They both have beards.
Yeah.
There's a lot of beards in the MRDA. There's also a lot of lead jammers, Magnum being one of them right now.
Sassard's finally getting out of the pack, not your lead jammer. 2 blockers out there. Magnum does a little swing around. They're going to discuss points.
And we will wait for our referees to signal. 3 points on the board. 3 points between these two teams.
Oh, man.
And number 32, Shane Bauer. Yeah, I like lots of numbers. Shane Bauer, 32, up on the jam line, joined by Austin. And 4-2 pack advantage to St. Louis right now, hopefully giving Shane Bauer the advantage. However, Austin looks like he is breaking free right now.
Yes, and he did. He got past Tommy Gunn, who jumped the apex to become the last line of defense. Austin still stuck back there.
Meanwhile, Shane Bauer approaching the back of the pack right now. Bled Zeppelin providing the offense right now. Shane Bauer being knocked to the outside, sorry. I can see the track, I promise.
Tommy Gunn's got the cap. He took off. He hurdled 2 people to get out of that track. And they're going to whistle this play dead.
And the crowd goes wild. And I think I might have seen Tommy Gunn's girlfriend swoon.
Well, as she should. Have you seen his awesome hair?
Yes. I don't want to call it as the most fabulous hair in the MRDA, but it's probably in the top 3.
It is the most fabulous hair in the MRDA.
What about your hair?
My hair is uncomparable.
Okay. And we are having a team timeout right now.
No, that's going to be official.
No, official timeout. I'm sorry, the monitor was in the way.
Yeah, I understand.
And while we have this team timeout, we are going to say a big thank you to one of our sponsors, Vault 31. Fun fact, it is owned by a Bridgetown skater. Vault 31 is about opening in Vancouver, Washington, early 2019. Let Vault 31 be your destination for roller derby watch parties, esports, music, and more.
So it looks like we have another lead change, and that's why they called the official timeout. They needed to make sure that everything was assessed correctly. Oh, and they are putting Tommy Gunn in the penalty box at the very end of that jam with a penalty. That is, he's going to be the jammer because he obviously was wearing that star.
I now want to call him Tommy with the good hair. Also, we have Metcalf with the good beard, wearing the star for St. Louis.
Optimus Quad got knocked out of bounds on the inside line. There was a forearm penalty assessed on the blocker from St. Louis that knocked him out. Loose wheel, knocking Metcalf at the top of the apex out.
And this is just a scrum of blockers right now trying to kill this penalty.
Oh, and finally, once again, excellent offense being laid down by St. Louis.
That was about 30 seconds before being released. A wonderful hit there, Tommy Gunn coming out of the box. Meanwhile, Metcalf on the scoring pass and calling it off.
Well, as you know, Tommy Gunn, he's been around this league pushing 8 years now. He started out as a jammer, and he is no slouch when it comes to jamming. He switched over to blocking, and lo and behold, 2 years ago, I believe it was, he got MVP of the MRDA champs. So he is an all-around excellent player.
So what you're telling me is he's not just Tommy with the good hair,
Yeah.
he's Tommy with the good skills.
He's got beautiful hair and skills to back it up. I mean, how cool can that be?
Talking of cool, calm, collected, we have these two jammers on our jam line. That's Topher Griffin and Magnum.
Magnum battling up front, trying to get through. There's going to be a forearm penalty, and Topher is headed to the penalty box with a forearm.
Jensen so happy having knocked Magnum out there at the last second, and should be happy with that fantastic blocking.
Bled Zeppelin picking up a multiplayer block is joining Topher over there. I think they're debating on who had the better penalty.
And it looks like that's 4 lead jams in a row for St. Louis. And we see Magnum approaching and just has been super glued to that 3 wall at the front.
Well, they knocked Jensen out. He decides not to come back in, so they go up and play offense. Magnum got out, tapped it off, picks up 4 points. So that's going to bring their lead up to 7. And Topher has gotten released from the penalty box.
So we will be starting with both jammers on our 5-stride jam line.
All right, unless I missed something, that right L penalty box is empty.
And long may that continue.
Yes. Clean play all the way around.
Yep. We'll just
wait, this is roller derby. Never mind. All right, and with that, Sausage is off and to the races, engaging that wall in front and out as your lead jammer.
Meanwhile, Shane Bauer facing off against Psycho's hips and shoulders there.
Double XL is down. He's got an injury. Here comes that medical staff again. I'm surprised they put him back out there.
Yeah, we see the bench checking in on him with this time out. We're going to talk a little bit about our sponsors. We want to shout out to Rydell Skates for sponsoring the 2018 MRDA Championships.
All right, that is, wow. So there has been, once again, to get this started, we're a little less than 8 minutes in to this half. And we've seen some incredibly strong play. 6 points now separating these two teams. And while we're in this little lull in play, while they help out Double XL,
we can take a quick look at our stats and our penalty count right now. At the moment, St. Louis with 1 player on 5. That will be, I think, is that Bled Zeppelin? Yes. Oh, no, that's the board for...
My apology.
That's the board for Portland.
Well, there we go.
Okay, there we go. Bled Zeppelin. We see a sprinkling of penalties. Nate Bauer, Double XL on 4. We see Spin Diesel on 3. And I said Bled is now on 5. Meanwhile, on Portland's side, we already had a sneaky peek. Dylan Botts is currently on 5. We see Loose Wheel, Tommy Gunn, Cosmo Damage, and Topher all on 4. And then a sprinkling more between the rest of them.
You like sprinkles, don't you?
I really like sprinkles.
You like to sprinkle those penalties out.
Yeah, I like to sprinkle those penalties. I prefer them to be sprinkled out rather than clustered on 1 or 2 players. I also really like donuts with sprinkles, but, you know, fun fact about me.
Fun fact about you. I like that. Well, we have once again had a fantastic officiating crew out here for the MRDA Championships. You can see them all out there while we are still in this stoppage of play.
I'm being ably told by our wonderful producer, that is Bobby Narco, that that is the first point for Portland, or first point for Portland since jam number 1 of the second half.
Well, Manchester is all out there. Once again, Double XL is down on the track, and Manchester's coming out there to give him some privacy in his moment of pain, which good group of guys.
This is something that you actually quite commonly see in UK roller derby. If someone is down for a particular amount of time, the players will generally wall off to give the medics some privacy, to give the player some privacy, and this is very, very sweet to see. I mean, I've already said before how wonderful our teams are from the UK, and just a little display of derby love right now.
You know, when the MRDA Championship Series and the playoffs started, we were very used to seeing mostly United States teams. And this year we had, how many teams did we have that were all coming in from out of the States?
We had 4 from the UK.
France?
1 from France, yeah.
Vancouver?
We've had Vancouver.
Yeah.
So that is half of the teams are technically international.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's that speaks volumes to this sport and how it is spread throughout the world. And and all of the everybody who has adopted it and grown so quickly within the roller derby world.
Yeah, we've definitely seen the past couple of years as well opportunities for teams that might be lower ranked to see more opportunities to play more teams with the playoff division, one being based in Europe, one being based in North America. It's fantastic for the sport, and through that we saw both Manchester, Toulouse and SDOD actually got a bye. They got a pass through and didn't have to take part in the qualifiers, which it's just fantastic for all of roller derby when we have more excellent teams everywhere.
I completely agree. And you know what's kind of interesting is seeing that some of the teams that we're used to seeing, Puget, not here this year.
Yep.
Gotham, also not here. And I understand people, that goes with any sport. There's years where everybody's the champion, and then there's years where you age out and you get new players and they're not championship level yet. You've got to raise them up and teach them how to be better skaters. And so there's this flux that can happen in the sports and industry, and we're seeing it right now because as new as the sport is, young I should say as the sport is, it's nice to see the newer teams that are growing.
Yeah, you were saying about New York Stock Exchange and the Outcasts. Both were, I think, some of the first leagues in the MRDA, and they aren't here, having some rebuilding years. But, every team sometimes will get knocked down and build back up. I just want to see as many excellent teams at these kind of championships as possible.
Absolutely. And speaking of this, and this is also something that was just kind of handed to me, there has been over 755 different subscriptions in 22 different countries. So this isn't just a United States thing or a North American thing. 22 different countries are watching this championship, 2018 championship series, all around the world.
That is fantastic. I already know lots of teams in the UK having watch parties. I also know people in Canada and America, but just a plethora of derby just spreading out all over the globe. We also want to give a big shout out to the host leagues. It is Bridgetown, Menace, and Lane County Concussion. Lane County Concussion have been doing a wonderful job as well with the production crew, and I think you have the names.
Yeah, the production crew. There is a bunch of great people on here. Grimes, Louie, Mega Pickle, Craft Beard, Packet Racer, Dropkick Daisy, Photobomb, Multiclass PhD, and Goldie. They're a bunch of great folks. If I don't know, have you ever seen Mega Pickle at the when they have RollerCon?
I haven't seen Mega Pickle at RollerCon,
Okay.
but I get the
You
feeling
might be
this
lucky.
is going to be something to see.
Well, yeah, he Mega Pickle does sometimes participate in the Magic Mike Chippendales bout, and he will shave his stripes into his person.
You now that you say that, I actually do know exactly what you were talking about.
I'm very sorry.
Seen this.
Well,
Talking of stripes, we want to give a big thank you to everyone who has been wearing stripes or officiating in different capacities this weekend. We are so lucky to have the crews that we have. And also these are crews that are not only here this weekend, but they are training other people to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is what we need. We need more officials.
Yeah, the elevation of the talent is ongoing every year. And you see all the familiar faces that you've seen for years at these things, but now we're starting to get the ones that continue to be awarded a higher certification and can start doing these. And it's good to see that growth in officials. Speaking of which, the tournament head ref is Ogre. The tournament co-head NSO is Butt Force Trauma. And the co-head NSO also is Dragon Harass. The GTO is Locomotive. So those are some of the awesome people that are helping us get this off the ground. They've been here all weekend working their tails off. We've been feeding them and taking care of them, making sure they're getting all kinds of good rest. And really, without them, we can't play this.
No, absolutely not. We're very, very lucky. And, also want to say a massive thank you to the volunteers this weekend. Anyone who has helped out. These tournaments are not easy to run.
Yeah.
They're stressful to run, and these guys have made it look superbly easy, cool as cucumbers, and just doing such a fantastic job.
One of my favorite things this weekend is Shreddy Mercury. I'm sure anybody who's watched MRDA over the last 10 years, Shreddy is a Bridgetown skater. He's been with Menace since the beginning. He had a taco machine. He cooked over 300 tacos this weekend for all of the volunteers, and they were spectacular.
Yep.
Some of it, he had like the greens he grew in his garden. They were not normal tacos; they were very gourmet. And he sat right behind us and cooked tacos for everybody that was volunteering and helping out here. So thank you, Shreddy. You're one of my heroes, and I really appreciate all the great grub that you brought in.
I guess he's sort of okay.
Yeah,
he's sort of okay.
and
Let's not inflate this guy's ego, because that gentleman
Very true.
can build an ego for sure. Actually, we did have a couple of people asking on the event page what was going on in the background. So we did have wonderful catering, and the host leagues have been fantastic in looking after all of the volunteers.
We had, speaking of which, Voodoo Donuts had a huge drop-off donation. I might have had one too many last night, or yesterday all day. I can't tell you how many I had, but it was a lot. Voodoo Donuts gave us buckets of donuts. Not one, not two. It was like 6 buckets of donuts back here. So if you have not been to Oregon and not experienced the joy which is Voodoo Donuts, I strongly suggest you pick yourself up some.
Why did you think I was talking about sprinkles repeatedly? That's why I was talking about sprinkles repeatedly. Because of all of the donuts. I consumed probably my body weight in sprinkles yesterday.
Well, as we are sitting here, we've had some fantastic folks that have helped us sponsor this this setup that we've been rolling with all weekend. The Jam Line was, of course, brought to you by Five Strides. They're a great store right here in Portland, or I should say in Portland. Bonnie Thunder's, of course, part of that, along with OMG. And also the Penalty Box was brought to you by Rydell. And if you don't skate in Rydell's, well, everybody to each their own. I've been wearing Rydell's for years, and they are the best skates in my opinion. Also, the team benches, they were brought to you by Apex Wellness Center. I was lucky enough to spend a little time with Rebecca from Wellness Center, and she adjusted my back, and I have not felt that good, and I can't even tell you how long. So if you are in the Portland area, I would strongly suggest going by and visiting the Apex Wellness Center.
Yep. We also had our pivot line is sponsored by Vault 31, which will be opening in Vancouver, Washington, early 2019. So if you are in the Pacific Northwest, we were having a conversation about the spread out areas in the US, but it is Pacific Northwest there, and definitely check them out when they open in 2019. We have other vendors who've been in-house. We've had Turn Left hit this, and Motor Skates. And we do have an after party.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are based in Salem or nearby, come have a beverage with us after this.
Turn Left. Let's roll back to them real quick. Turn Left Clothing.
Can I?
Yes, I was going to say, you kind of skimmed over that. She has been hovering by the Turn Left Clothing area. Alicia Nesbitt-Smith, of course, is over there, and she has been trying on all kinds of color. Every time I walk by there, she's got something new and colorful on, and I always have to stop and go a little bit in awe of how bright she is.
Yeah, I apologize in advance to my husband for the amount of clothing I might be bringing back.
Right.
But they're just such beautiful clothing. Really, really good for roller derby as well. There are leggings, there are sports bras in all shapes and sizes and all sorts of colors. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And also, we talk about roller derby being homegrown. That's a homegrown roller derby
yeah.
business that is run by some wonderful skaters. And, we need to support small businesses like these.
And in case you didn't know, Left Turn Clothing does supply all of the shirts here for our volunteers. You've seen some of the folks in the orange shirts walking around. That was brought to you by Left Turn Clothing. Also, along with that, I believe the uniforms I had when I was skating were also pressed out by Left Turn Clothing. So if you are looking to purchase or get some, see, they not only did he get a patch, they also signed it or sewed it on for him while he was here, so he could look styling and professional in his little patch there.
If you weren't aware, that was our superb producer, Bobby Narco, who has been feeding us stats. This is his last game of 2018. But if you are lucky enough to live in New York, it's just a little place that you're going to be in. Is Carnegie Hall? Yeah, Carnegie Hall. 1 week from today.
Wow. Yeah, his choir is singing at Carnegie Hall. He told me that, and there's always amazing. You get to meet all kinds of fun people in the derby community, and you always get these great stories. Like, hey, what do you do in real life? And you're like, it's half the time your jaw hits the floor. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing next week?
Yeah, there is such a variety within our sport, and it's what makes it so wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. And it is. It's kind of the nature of what this sport is. It brings all kinds of different people from different walks of life that have a common interest in this sport. And if you can hear the crowd right now, they've got Double XL up. He is gonna be headed out, gonna get some medical attention. But the crowd is definitely happy. He seems to be doing okay.
He is somebody that has been around in the MRDA. He is a lovely human being.
He is. That is a great way of saying it. He's a real nice guy, incredible force of nature out on the track, and seeing him injured really was not. That was the last thing I wanted to see tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We are very glad that he is being taken care of, and a massive thank you to everyone who literally came out to give some privacy to our medics while they were attending to him. It is really, really wonderful to see, and we hope he has a swift recovery, and hope that that injury is not too bad.
All right. Well, folks, I appreciate you all sticking with us during this injury timeout. I know it's been a little bit, but we always want to make sure to take care of our skaters. This is, they come out here and they're fighting for their pride, and it's not like we're paid to do this.
No.
This is all pure passion that you're seeing out on the track. And so, we want to make sure we take care of people when something like this happens.
You said we weren't paid to do this, but each of the announcers got given a $2 bill, which is
professionals.
So we actually are professionals. We did get paid there. We are now being told, I think we are going to have a 3-minute warm-up.
Yeah, everybody had a chance to cool down and relax a little bit, and in a very intense game like that, it's not wise to just jump right back out there. They're going to let everybody skate for about 3 minutes. So as you see everybody doing some laps down there on the track, we'll be right back with this here in just a minute. So again, we have a score of 87-81. We've got roughly 20 minutes left in this game. Don't mind the oddball timeout that you see on your screen. They'll get this all back and reset once they get everything all back together.
Yeah, and we also want to give a thank you to our two wonderful DJs. We have Daniel Slay Lewis and DJ Agent Meow. been doing a fantastic job all weekend, keeping the vibes going.
You know, I can't say enough about both of those guys. They are both from Portland, but they travel all over the world to DJ at different big events, playoffs, championships, Big O. If you've been to a major tournament in the WFTDA or MRDA, you've probably seen those guys DJing.
Yeah, you've probably seen them. You've probably heard the sweet, sweet sounds of that excellent music that they are throwing into the crowd. Yeah, we are very lucky with the volunteers that we have this weekend.
All right, they are starting to bring it in. I know St. Louis is over there. They're going to have some sideline discussions to get everybody's head back in this game. Menace still out on the track. They're doing some stops. They're sprinting around, making sure that they are also in a good headspace to continue playing in this game.
Yeah, we talk about the physicality of roller derby, but it is also a very, very mental-based sport.
Oh, very much so,
and,
yeah.
you know, we can see Magnum right now, who is a fantastic player, rallying the troops and turning around probably and saying, you know, we should probably do this for double. Let's do this for double while he is not here.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a highly fought contest, and this score is just demonstrating that. The fact that there are points on the board, it's such a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
I actually cannot stop talking about how low a scoring game this is.
Well, I would actually, you know, that being said, I like seeing these hard-fought struggles where people have to nickel and dime it the whole way, rather than seeing those big blowouts with, you know, 300 and something. I like this. It's just that gritty struggle. The two teams that are just battling it out, and they can only pull a point or two out each jam.
Yeah, we are back to the action right now. Magnum and Topher are on and wearing stars. It is Topher Griffin with the lead. And we'll be coming back around to score points.
Magnum taking the cap off. Tommy Gunn was the last line of defense, and they were unable to stop him. But Tommy Gunn's already up in there scoring points. 4 points put on the board, and that's going to bring it to 87-85. 22 left on the board, and it's a 2-point game.
This is a 2-point game, and we can see the crowd getting very excited, very happy to see this game back under. And next up we have Shane Bauer and we have Sausage. I got to call a French game earlier on, and I was just enjoying the accent.
Absolutely, as you should.
Not that Sausage is French.
No, it's not, but that's okay. Sausage comes in, he goes through the in, tries to go to the out, gets a little bit of offense from Bots. Oh, he's eked out on the inside line, 1 footing it through the apex. He's your lead jammer.
He is your lead jammer. Coming back around, and I heard some whistles going. Not
Loose
quite sure
wheel.
who's going off.
Yeah, Loose Wheels headed to the penalty box. I'm not sure what he did, but he's going to have a seat.
Meanwhile, the pack has just sped up like crazy. Both jammers on scoring passes right now. So we saw Saj taking a quick look to see whether or not to call it off. He's going, nope, with the game this tight, I need to score more points right now.
Well, with that, and Portland just took the lead back. We've got a score of 92-91.
This is a 1-point game.
Man.
I feel like I might need an alcoholic beverage after this.
Might?
Just pre-warning.
Man. And you don't even drink.
I don't even drink that much. Every
Austin.
now and again.
Every now and again. Austin's down on the line. Screech Around is also out there with both stars on their helmets.
Screech is at the front. Cosmo is trying to impede his way through, aided by Tommy Gunn and Jensen. Cosmo taking a penalty.
Oh!
Austin through on the inside, but there is a forearms penalty being assessed.
And he also got a insubordination, and he got an additional penalty, so he's going to be sitting for a full minute.
Tommy Gunn with a fantastic hit there, but he went out, so it's a no pass, no penalty. 4 points on the board for Screech Around. The tide has turned back in St. Louis's favor. They are now in the lead once more.
This jam comes to an end, called off. 5 more points picked up by St. Louis. They now sit finally in triple digits at 100 points. Portland still sitting at 92.
It has taken 40 minutes
Loose.
to get to double digits.
Loose Wheel picked up a low block, and that is going to be number 6 on Loose Wheel.
I think also, we've got Cosmo on 5, and we also have D-Bots on 5. Right now, Magnum with the star for St. Louis.
Magnum weaving through. Bots was the last line. He finally saw that the out of play was called, and he let him go.
Yeah, Magnum back around, quick as a flash, back around on a scoring pass. Getting very low, working those toe stops. Very happy with that. Picking up a full 5-point pass right now.
All 4 blockers out. Whoa! He had liftoff. Did he make it?
The referees are conferring right now, and they're giving him the 4 points.
4 points. Yes, he did. Penalty box is empty. Unless they put somebody in there. Topher Griffin is on the line. He's going to be joined by Shane Bauer.
Right now, this feels like this might have been the largest points differential between these two teams in quite some time.
Yeah, that's a 10th lead change. And we've got a score of 110 to 92.
Every single point is so hard fought for, and every single lead jammer is so hard fought for. We can see Topher and Shane both just sweating on this track, desperately trying to push through.
Ramrod just picked up a back block penalty. He headed to the penalty box.
Shane Bauer at the front on turn 1 with 2 to beat, using those toe stops.
Oh, man. Pile up at the top of the apex. And
Topher is going off for a low block.
Yeah, he's talking about it right now. They're going to see, he's going to head to the penalty box. That's going to put another half a six-pack sitting down there. You've got Ramrod, you got Jensen, and here comes Griffin going to have a seat. This is ill time for Bridgetown right now. 16 minutes, well, just over 16 minutes left in this game. All they got is 2 blockers out there.
And the jammer for this Power Jam start is Magnum.
Ooh, he managed to keep one hand or stay inbounds with only using one hand.
And we see working that one-footed glide, picking up a full 5-point pass there.
Saint was detrimental in playing offense up there. He had a body all over Miller and made it very hard for Miller to get anywhere close to his jammer.
We see Tommy Gunn and Miller just nudging Magnum to the inside line.
Ramrod comes in, opens a hole for Topher. Topher's barking at the ref. Back block is going to be called. That's going to go against the Saint.
And Topher is out. Meanwhile, Magnum on another scoring pass, 3 round. Just tucking his hips around one player there. We will see if that was enough to score a point. And 2 points.
2 points. So, with that, St. Louis sitting at 122, Portland 92. It is now a 30-point difference.
Yep, this is the biggest. This is definitely the biggest that we've seen between these two teams. But we still have 15 minutes, and 30 points is maybe 2 power jams now.
All right, and that looks like Oh, that is Freakstyle. He gets knocked out of bounds with a nice big hit by Spin Diesel. Jensen comes in and levels Spin Diesel. They're going to call a penalty on him. Forearm is going to be called on Stark.
Meanwhile, Screech Around just tiptoeing to try and get through. It looks like Freakstyle got through, but lead had already been assessed to Screech Around.
2 more points being picked up by Screech Around. No points being picked up by Freakstyle. Well, this is interesting. So since that stoppage of play, Portland has sputtered to keep that intensity that they came in here with, whereas St. Louis has almost turned it up.
Yep. And you also see Portland a well-deserved timeout, giving a little bit of a break and hoping to regain that momentum. If we take a look at that penalty board, Portland are now having a bit of trouble with penalties. We see 2 on 6 penalties, and 3 of them are on 5 penalties.
Yeah, the 2 on 6 penalties, that's going to be Loose Wheel and Jensen on 6. Whereas, like as you were saying, St. Louis only has 1 player sitting on 5.
Yep, and that is Bled Zeppelin. Hopefully this timeout has given Portland that little breather to try and recapture the magic of earlier jams. Capturing that magic, we will have Sausage, and we will have the wonderful Metcalf as the jammer up against him.
And there's going to be a slight pack advantage. Just 1 blocker extra out there for Bridgetown, only 2 out there for St. Louis.
Yep, and I'm just looking at the stats. Jammer penalties, we have 4 for St. Louis and 12 for Bridgetown. A lot of those scored in that first period. Meanwhile, Sarge is looking to get some more points up and close that gap down.
Saw Sarge is through. He picks up 5 points. That was a great timeout if that's what they're going to come out and do. Make that 4 points.
And round once more. 5 more points in the air, and we see a star pass being attempted right now.
Oh, and a high block's going to be assessed to Metcalf. This is a great opportunity if they can capitalize it to get right back in this game. Sausage in a power jam.
Like I said a minute ago, all it takes is 1 or 2 good power jams, and with another 5 points in the air, we have 15 right now on the board for Portland. There is 20 points between these 2 teams.
Sausage comes up, and they didn't cover the outside. He's already got 2, and you cannot do that with a guy like Sausage.
No, his ability to turn on the speed is phenomenal, leaving that outside line open. Little bit of a disadvantage for St. Louis. 19 points in total.
That is the highest jam of the game for Bridgetown with 19. And they had words right there at the end. Bled Zeppelin and Sausage. I think he's trying to get in his head a little bit. Topher Griffin out there all by himself. Standing in the penalty box, though, is Metcalf.
And a lovely sweep there from Miller to try and sweep that inside line. But there seems like Topher being assessed a penalty.
That's a back block. And with that, Metcalf is your lead jammer.
Yeah, Metcalf coming out of the penalty box was able to give a little spin there from Metcalf, trying to dance around some blockers.
Penalty is going to be assessed to Percy Control.
And Metcalf calling that off. We are going to freeze Topher Griffin in
Yes,
that
they are.
box.
Interesting. 4 points picked up by St. Louis in that last jam. And that's going to bring them up to 131. 20 points even separating these 2 teams with just under 12 minutes left.
I hope everyone has a beverage beside them right now, because you are not going to want to leave your screen. With just under 12 minutes left, Shane Bauer on the jam line for St. Louis, and that lovely gap opening up.
Wow! Oh! launched, and the crowd is going wild. He is headed back to the penalty box. He's going to have a seat.
This is a hometown crowd, and looking at that penalty board, Topher Griffin has picked up several penalties, and I do believe that might have been his 7th. We will wait for this to be confirmed.
Yep. Topher Griffin is leaving the penalty box. It looks like he is done for the day. Sausage Rolls is going to have a seat.
The crowd slightly unhappy with that.
Yeah. That was a great move by Topher. I can't tell you for sure whether he was in or out. It was very close. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do an official review on, but Bridgetown is out there. They want to talk about it.
In the meantime, we do see Sausage sitting in the penalty box, and once we have confirmation, I don't want to speculate, but I feel like that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Looking to overturn the cutting call on their own jammer.
Yep, that was good speculation on my part. My crystal ball was correct. And that is exactly what Portland are looking to do. And once the referees have conferred, we will let you know.
So tell me, Miss Fortune Teller, what do you think is going to happen on this? You don't want to say it. I agree with you for not wanting to say it.
I'm not going to say that because no, I'm not. We are waiting to see. The referee is signaling to both the benches to let them know. I think we might be able to tell from facial expressions of both of these teams, but I'm not. I ain't taking that. I'm not taking the bait.
Ain't no bait. Good for you. All right. So we're going to pass it back down to the floor. Kira Duncan's down there.
The officials observed out-of-bounds contact upon the landing. The cutting call will stand. Review.
All right. They lose their official review. The cutting call stands. Sausage will start in the penalty box. They're going to put Magnum on the line, and this is a great call by St. Louis. Magnum, as you know, is he's something else on a pair of skates.
He's a bit all right.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Just a bit all right.
Like he's done this before or something. And this jam is on.
Magnum tried to rip the clothes off of his own teammate there.
Botts is on top of Magnum. Stays in bounds somehow because he is just that flexible, and takes him all the way back to the jammer line.
Just a cluster of bodies right now on that jammer line. But it is Magnum out and lead.
Well, that was great work by Bled Zeppelin and Percy Control to block off that outside offensively and help their jammer get out on that outside.
Yeah, Magnum dancing around Botts there. Little gap on the inside line and calling that off, just stretching out this St. Louis lead right now.
Wow, Sausage still sitting in the penalty box. He's not been released yet. Well, that's a score of 140 to 111.
If you aren't aware, the Bridgetown Menace, these wonderful gentlemen in purple, are the co-hosts. So there is a lot of love cheering on Bridgetown right now. Meanwhile, we see Screech around taking a little bit of time to try and get through right now.
Screech around, finds an opening on the inside. Jensen says, no, sir, you do not.
Shutting the door on Screech. Meanwhile, Sausage has been released, and the gatekeepers are all over him.
Oh, Sausage almost got out, had to stop and go back a little bit. And with that, Screech around gets out, calls off that jam. That was Sausage. Oh, I think he's not feeling it. He's looking like he's got some pain going on. So that's a good call off if you are not in the condition to score a bunch.
Absolutely. Also, if you are lead and you can call it, you don't want to be passing that star to lose lead, but getting a fresh pair of legs on the jam line right now. We have Shane Bauer and we have Austin.
Austin lining up He tries to play a little bit of off-the-line defense. He's struggling to get up. He's trying to get through that inside line.
And that is Shane Bauer with your lead. Austin also out of the pack right now. And lots of hustle and tussle keeping Bridgetown apart. Shane Bauer picking up points.
Yeah, they had no intention of forming a wall. There was all offense. That was the call that St. Louis was going to go with. In that last jam, Bott's picking up a low block call. He's right now the only player sitting in the Rydell penalty box.
Gonna see Sarge and gonna see Magnum up on our jam line. We are just under 8 minutes left in this second period of the gold medal game.
Wow, that was a great move out there. Magnum PIMP staying inbounds, bouncing around. He's your lead jammer.
Yeah, Magnum coming back around. We see nobody really noticing that he got through there apart from Sarge, who is now gonna chase him down.
Well, he forced that call off. He did. He abused him all the way through the straightaway, finally took him out in turn number 1 on the inside line.
And then hopped over him.
Yep.
That was like a leapfrog.
Oh, that guy's great.
They are both fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I'm getting the vapors once more, swooning at these amazing, amazing players. Talking of amazing players,
And
Freestyle and Shane Bauer.
Yes, indeed. A little bit of offense coming up front in the way of the Saint, trying to open something up. Right now he's bridging, though.
He's bridging, so Bridgetown have to forced to be out of play. Shane Bauer is out.
Multiplayer block being assessed to Miller. That's going to leave 2 blockers out there for Bridgetown. Optimus Quad is your last line of defense. He had a hold of that jammer and is not letting go of Bowers.
Absolutely not. I think somebody getting called off there. Was that a multiplayer?
Yep, direction of play.
Direction of play.
On,
My hand signals are not that great. I apologize.
That's going to be on Bled Zeppelin. 2 points being picked up by the youngster there from Bridgetown. And Freestyle is going to head to the bench, pulling something out from nothing, basically, by just hustle. 5 points being put on the board for St. Louis in that last jam. We are at 153, 113, 40 points now separating these 2 teams.
I think that is the first point put on board for 6 jams for Portland.
Yep.
St. Louis have been dominating these past few jams. Looking to change that. We have Sausage and we have Screech around.
Miller up front. He opened everything up, played probably some of the best offense I've seen all week.
And Sausage doing what he does best, turning and working those skates.
Oh, Sausage was almost out. He dropped the wheel out of bounds and had to go back and start again.
Yep,
Miller up.
Sorry to interrupt, Carl Stark, providing some obstacle in the way of Sausage. Sausage putting 5 points on the board right now. Meanwhile, Screech around, getting battered to that inside.
Sausage comes up. He kind of tiredly comes in there, leaning on some players, possibly getting some points as he passes some hips. Being drugged back, though, that's going to be on Percy Control, dragging back Sausage. Sausage doing a good impression of Dr. Feelgood. Gets out of the pack. He looks whooped, picking up 4 points.
I'm not surprised that he's worked with the likes of Bled Zeppelin, the Hulk, Percy Control, and Carl Stark. Yeah. You
can be the greatest jammer of all time, but when you have to try and struggle against a wall like that, you're going to look tired.
I mean, I'm tired just watching this.
I am tired.
I'm so tired.
Magnum getting out first. He's your lead jammer. Austin still struggling to try and get through that wall, even with offensive help.
There is just bodies all over that section of the track. We see Magnum being drawn back there. Dylan Botts going to the box right now. Meanwhile, Jensen, Psycho, and I believe that's Loose Wheel holding Magnum back right now.
Jensen heading back into that wall. And up front, Austin, he's got 2 players left to beat. Man, they are just stuck to him like flypaper.
Yep, they are not ready to release Austin just yet. Meanwhile, Magnum's just kind of going round and round in circles. M. Jensen is just all over him.
Austin just finally got wore down and pushed out of bounds on the outside line.
And right now it looks like Magnum just taking a little bit of time. It looks like Austin trying to pass the start off perhaps to Jensen.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I think he was trying to do a fake there, but I really do. I think he intends. You don't want to hand anybody a star behind that wall. You want to try and get Jensen a little bit of an advantage, get him out front a little bit.
And the pack just at a standstill there.
Yeah.
A little bit of calm before the storm.
Ninja went out there, made sure that he was okay. I think he just was a little winded.
It looks like we have had a second foul out of the game. It looks like D Bots is out.
And that's a big loss for them when it comes to defense. Sausage out there with a star on his helmet for Bridgetown, and Bowers out there for St. Louis.
It is Sarge who is out first, but it is Shane Bauer who has been assessed lead.
St. Louis way up front. They are out of play. Stark headed to the penalty box.
And Sarge just scooping his way under people, like he does best, basically.
I think Bauer's going to run some time. He didn't get out of the pack, and I'm not sure if he scored too terribly much. No, he did not. No points scored on that. 1 point. There we go. Yep, they did. I think a little delay there. But 4 points being picked up, so now we've got the score of 158-126.
There is 32 points between these two teams, and a timeout being called. I think a well-placed timeout right now. That is St. Louis calling that timeout. Giving themselves a little bit of a break. You know, we have seen massive jams before. 32 points is
oh yeah, it's doable.
Squeaking distance, and what we see Mr. Pink there talking to 2 of his players. I'm also gonna say I saw a social media post. I do believe this is Mr. Pink's final game with St. Louis.
He's been doing that a while. You know, sometimes you just need a break.
Yep, absolutely. So
but
right
St.
now,
Louis will miss him.
I definitely believe that he has been an integral part of the team. I think has been a skater for a while, and then as the bench, and will be sorely missed. Right now, 32 points between these two teams, and 51 seconds currently on our board.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 blockers out there for St. Louis. You got Magnum out there, star on his helmet. In the jammer roll, and of course Freestyle. Jensen tried to split it up, and Freestyle is out first. He's your lead jammer.
And the crowd goes wild.
Oh, and we got a high block. That's going to be on Magnum. Freestyle is in a power jam. He just picked up 5 points.
And we have 3 blockers for St. Louis in the box right now. There is 1 to beat. And Freestyle just dipping around 5 points in the air.
Well, and there's another penalty. That's going to... Oh, there's a jump. All right, folks, that's 15 points now put up by Freestyle. Two blockers out there. Person control. Well, they caught him. The youngster is on his toe stops and he gets through. Oh!
That is a cut track being assessed right now to Freakstyle. Meanwhile, Magnum is back on the track. The period clock has gone. The jam clock is still going.
Yeah, there's 48 seconds left. Freakstyle will get back on the track. He did pick up a few points on that pass. Still only 2 blockers out there. That's going to be the Saint and I believe Percy Control.
That is the Saint and Spin Diesel.
Spin Diesel. Well, they had a blocker do-si-do then.
It is okay. I think everyone's heart is in their mouth right now. Magnum just being pushed around that corner, taking his time right now to try and block Freakstyle.
Freakstyle, he picks up another 4 points on that pass. 19. Wow, talking about a time to shine, and he does it again. They have got to get out of that corner. They do get a hold of him, but he's got those points. This jam comes to an end. Full 2-minute jam. At the end, oh man, 4 points were put up by St. Louis, 24 points put up by Portland.
We have this as an unofficial score with St. Louis on 162 and Portland on 150. 12 points between these two teams. We will not call it until they say that is final.
Well, all things considered, that is one heck of a way to go out, putting up 24 points against St. Louis in the final seconds of this game.
Absolutely phenomenal game. This is exactly why we love this sport. There is so much passion with both of these teams. 12 points between these two teams. We see St. Louis once more taking the gold.
Yes,
that is
once again.
the 4th time. Hugs all around. It's just, it's bringing a little bit of a tear to my eye right now.
Well, you know, St. Louis has done one thing consistently, and that is win. They know how to play a full hour as strong as possible, as consistent as possible, and here they are once again taking home that gold.
Yep.
You can't breathe, take a rest. You can't do anything because they are so consistent.
They are so consistent. I think both of these teams are very much family to one another. The kind of passion that they display, I'm lost for words, and I am not a person who is very often speechless.
You're not. You are not. Well, St. Louis is heading around. Hugs all around. Again, they fought so hard, and they always look so good. I can't say enough about how great they played, and even when they're short-staffed on the track at the end, they finally managed to figure out a way to pull off that win. Absolutely,
and so much credit to Portland. There is a reason why these two are the two who are in top, who are both walking away with medals. Just a phenomenal performance from all of these guys.
Well,
they should be so proud.
You know, going back to in that second half to 8 minutes in, Double XL gets injured. Stoppage of play. There was a long stoppage of play. 20 minutes passed, and at that point, St. Louis I think had a calming moment where they settled themselves and came out so strong and so together. That's where they racked up some big points, and they pushed that lead, so it was unsurmountable for Bridgetown to actually climb back in at the very end.
And everyone doing a little hand slap right now. I am so blown away. I'm also blown away with the sportspersonship that has been shown throughout this game, not just from the two teams on track, but everyone who has been in the stands sticking around when Double was sitting or lying for injury, seeing players from teams all over the world just coming around and being like, okay, we are protecting one of our own.
Yeah.
We are doing everything we can to make sure that that all the medics had enough space to see
Yeah,
to.
and that was an actual beautiful display. It really was excellent to see. I've seen some leagues do it, but to see, like you said, many teams come together and protect one of their own, it was just, gets you right there.
Yeah, we have been so lucky for all of the games this weekend, and I am so happy that we are ending on such a phenomenal game. I'm not speechless very often.
No. I want to say something else. Bridgetown, of all the teams that St. Louis has had to fight against, St. Louis is used to, I'm going to say it, they're used to really taking advantage of other teams. There's not a lot of strong teams out there. There are, but there's not a lot of strong teams that can keep up with St. Louis.
Yeah.
And looking at the score of a 12-point difference, I mean, what if we had another minute on the clock? What could have happened? So Bridgetown really has honed that skill and has really had their aims on the Gatekeepers for a few seasons now.
Yeah.
And they
are also not going to give up.
Yeah.
We keep seeing these teams face off against one another. Phenomenal games. Just keep pushing and pushing. And I am pretty sure that if and when St. Louis is beaten, it will be by Portland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Portland, there's no shame in playing that strong, playing that hard, ending a game like they just did and taking home a silver. Portland really, really looked great in that game, and so close.
Yep, so incredibly close. I'm going to be slightly nerdy here. It's kind of one of those "I'll get you next time" gadget.
What is that? Claw? Did you just?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, you just. Wow! And the fact that I knew that, I had to go through so many files in my head. All right. Well, folks, they're taking a big old group picture down there. Everybody's celebrating, and they're celebrating together. And look at that. We've got professional photographers standing right alongside of folks with their cell phones. Everybody wants a piece of the love that's happening down on the track. Once again, 2018 MRDA champions. That is going to be the St. Louis Gatekeepers.
Yeah, we see St. Louis with the gold. We see Portland with the silver. We see Toulouse, the first non-US team to win a medal. This has been the most incredible tournament I have been a part of. I know at some point we are going to go down for an interview, and we also have a medal ceremony, so please stick around. I
think we're just about ready for that interview, so we're going to throw it down to Julia Sleazer, who has been our head announcer all weekend long.
And a massive thank you to her.
Oh, and actually they are still getting folks to calm down and clear out a spot. They're going to let us know when they're all ready to do this.
Yeah, I just want to give a massive thank you to Sleazer for the fantastic crew that we have had.
All right, we're passing it down to Sleazer. Thanks, guys.
By the St. Louis Gatekeepers, Screech Around and Percy Control. So congratulations on the Fleur-peat, just the four-peat this year. So one of the questions on my mind is, what kind of challenges do you have to overcome to maintain such an excellent track record after all of these years?
So it's a very mental game at this point. We're on humble brag of 45-game winning streak here, leading into the champs. So maintaining the momentum, maintaining that core of skaters, and keeping the same passion. Some guys have been doing this for 9 years, and just maintaining that same passion and heat for 9 years, wins, losses, ups, downs, no off season. So I mean, it's just really we have momentum, but just finding that passion and that heat to bring it to a game like this. Bridgetown is an incredible team, and they always bring a challenge to us. So we have to adapt, we have to learn. We can prepare all the strategy we want, but just being able to catch up on the game as it's happening, unfold, and build our momentum from there.
Well, awesome. And what is one of your proudest moments for this weekend, do you think?
Overcoming what just happened in that last game. Yeah. That was hard for all of us. Seeing one of our teammates go down, that's always really hard, and that was a really rough one. So we did that for him. Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to actually, when they are fixing his leg, we're going to have them plant the metal in his leg.
Yep.
So he'll never leave it now.
Of course, we hope the double XL heals very quickly and everything. So thank you guys for joining me, and thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you, Julia.
Julia.